Hello and welcome everyone, this is Blackadder yet again for the second time today. This time is going to be another match as apparently Mem stopped streaming, so I'm going to be the one to stream the rest of the match between France A and Austria A. I just need to right now quickly figure out what's gonna happen with everything and whatnot. And it seems like that the score should be 2-1 for Austria, if I registered everything correctly. So we are looking at France A having 1. And Austria being at 2. Why didn't it register correctly? Ah, here it is. At 2. So it should be the score right about now. I hope that it's correct. So let's go off the Fog of War, and we are going to be starting on the map that is the fourth one, that is called, it's kind of weird name, Seize the Hump. Yeah, this is the last one that I have cast also from the CZ versus RFR, aka Sweden A game, and we are here with, of course, looking at the civilizations. We are going to be having 3v3, I suppose the 4v4, rather, yeah, 4v4 in CZs. And apparently, Byzantines, Goths, and Saracen. Saracens is going to be for the Austrians, and whereas for the French, it's going to be Goths, Saracen, and Byzantines as well. So absolutely the same. A whole lot different civilizations that we have seen from CZ and from RFR, so I'm definitely curious how they're going to be playing this. This map is signified by the fact that it has no stone and a gold on the mainland. You can see that they are having just basically food and some kind of wood in there, but transporting into the middle island is kind of easy. So it's a bit easier than migration, of course, because they don't need to fear about the water at all. They just go forward, it's a full-on land build order, and go for the gold and stone in the middle of the map. So not really any kind of issues with that. So far we have seen in the first game, I have just basically streamed it like half an hour ago. So I'm going to be having plenty of probably notices towards that in this game. CZs have played very well, they have prepared quite nicely, and this map is basically signified by very early feudal aggression and going basically through the whole feudal, and basically who gets into castle age in a better position is going to be winning. Because the horses in such an open map, absolutely open map, you can see even though they are having plenty of forests, there still is going to be the way through the back, through the shallows and whatnot. It's never going to be easy to defend, and well, who is better at raiding is going to be winning this game, most definitely. Well, for the scores, yeah, I really hope that I got it correctly from the ladder. It really seems like that, yes, Chocobo, you asked it correctly, the arena should be lost for France, should be won by Austria. But the rest of the games I'm not entirely certain. I think actually the first map, the Arabia, went for France, then the second map went for Austria, that was their home map. I don't exactly remember what map it was. As we are looking at the guys scouting around, trying to locate the relics and whatnot all across the map. And basically something that is very important for the map, and that was part of the downfall for RFR against CZ, was actually that Spaden for some reason spawned, or rather moved into the mainland, into the main island, quite far away from his teammates. He was like in here, in the corner, and the rest was basically here in the middle. So of course he was very late to engage in the feudal age battles, and that basically gave all the possible advantage to his opponents, and they of course didn't let it on. And CZs, well, they are no pushovers. Definitely know what they are going to do and what they are doing. So feudal age is coming in from Sebdos. That's going to be the first one, apparently, for the Byzantines. And what's actually the reason for the Byzantines? I'm right now going to be looking at that, what actually could be a reason for them, because I was kind of confused by, for example, Japanese pick in the previous game. which didn't make a whole lot of sense. Better, don't think so. Maybe the skirmishes and pikemen. I actually think that's not a bad idea. I actually don't think that's a bad idea. Town Watch could be also quite useful as far as actually scouting goes on this map, so that they see when the archers and whatnot are coming their way. But we are already looking at Yellow coming forward, quite a lot forward, quite adventurously, as he's fighting against the Wolfies. And going to be discovering Lavihead, of course, on the right, who is moving quite forward. She is quite nicely established in there, but just now getting for the barracks. And is it going to be like Tavarash from Sebdos? Oh yes, it's gonna be definitely Tower. That's gonna be a whole lot different than the CZRFR game. Yeah, well, you can see that this is going to be quite difficult. And the different civilization. Thank you, Mango. That's a very good notice. I haven't actually noticed it in the information for the map. In that settings, that actually they are playing team random. This is why there are so different civilizations and so weird ones that actually don't make sense. But that makes actually for quite interesting combinations. As I've said, the Byzantines are not such a bad idea overall, not such a bad pick, because they are of course having the cheaper skirmishers and pikemen. And that could be something quite advantageous if you use it properly, because the early feudal age battles are of course going to be all about archers and of course the scout cavalry. And if you can get the cheaper counters to those, yeah, well, you might be getting some kind of edge in there if you use it correctly. We'll see. We'll see pretty soon, I guess. In the end, LB10 is going to be far away. This is kind of similar. This is kind of similar to what happened to Spaden, and I don't like it very much. He should be basically clumping towards his allies, as for example his opponents are doing. They are quite close to each other, all three of them. You can see they are in pretty good spot in there, even though they might have gone a bit more adventurously into the middle. So it seems like that actually French are slightly more apprehensive about the course of the action and of the games, as they are basically right now trailing 1-2. So they know if they lose this game and screw it up, they're out of the tournament. They definitely don't want to do that and want to somehow still overcome Austria A. We are also looking at stables, of course, for the Goth. Really? Well, why not, I guess, at this stage. They will need some scouts, but of course the tower rush is going to be a pretty big surprise, I'm fairly certain. For the Austrians, right now they are going to be trying to counter that, but are they going to be fast enough? Yeah, well, right now they will be. Because the stop building is going to be a huge problem. Right now 5 villagers trying to catch after this guy for more or less no reason whatsoever. So this tower is going to be destroyed in time, and those guys are just going to be trying to somehow protect the tower on the left. They're gonna be hoping that it's going to be buying themselves. I cannot say it. Buying them some time. That's what I wanted to say from the start. But this, of course, if it's going to be resulting into failed trash, which, to be honest, it seems to be slightly, it might be kind of unfortunate for him, even though he's quite nicely protecting himself. He, of course, is already facing a bit of raiding in there through LB10, who is going to be all over the place, trying to find some openings that he could be abusing. But yeah, well, apparently Sito and Eddie both going for the scout cavalry, and like nobody going for archers, really. Is it going to be really everybody's scout cavalry? It really looks like it, because two guys from the opponents are as well doing this. Finally some archers. So this is going to be the difference. As Sebdos, as the Byzantine, is going for the tower rush for the French, whereas for Austrians is going to be, well, a bit different. Archers, a bit more standardish setup. And to be honest, so far looking at the trash, that is quite inevitably failing at this stage. And it's really going to be going quite well for Austrians. I don't really expect that they should be having all that much of an issues with this. I really think that this is gonna be going well for them. But well, maybe they are going to be able to pull some trick out of their head. But they are already slightly, ever so slightly losing on the score. It's just 6 points, so who cares about that? But you can just see all those yellow villages moving around, right, left, and unfortunately not finding a good spot for a tower. Right now they're hoping for this spot, which makes kind of sense as far as map control, going slowly forward. But of course the next tower should be coming about here to stop this wood gathering, to at least somehow cripple the archers from the opponent. But still, this seems to be already quite a big problem, as even those guys, can they shoot at those? He's having 4 range, 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly can. He possibly can shoot that, but right now it doesn't matter, because the tower is going to be a bit more powerful, and archers will have to move somewhere else. In the meantime, there's not really much happening in here. as he's defending his own stone gathering, and it's probably going to be quite significantly up to Eddie with Sito to basically force the opponents to stay inside their base. Not maybe even attack them, but basically just make sure that Sebdos does have enough time to establish his economy, and Eddie with his teammate Sito as well. So yep, definitely not going all that greatly right now for French, but the game still could be coming in their way if they don't panic and follow up properly with everything. So far looking, for example, at the economies. Austria 28, 28, 34, so actually not great. For the opponents 33 and 31 times 2, even though we could be considering Sebdos more or less having less, because he wasn't gathering for quite some time because of the villagers not doing anything significant in there, which definitely will be good news for French and means that the game is not over yet at all. Like, absolutely at all. I'm just kinda slightly curious why actually they are not using the Byzantine players, especially right now Lavihet. It's not using the advantage of actually having the cheaper skirmishes. Because it's not like the archers are all that better. You are building them in basically hope of getting them into castle age for the crossbowmen, but still, getting the cheaper skirmishes basically instead of 4, you're gonna get 5. I think it might be counting in the wars at the start, because they are basically kinda trash wars, even though you are paying quite a lot for the archers. But otherwise, scouts are trash. Archers are basically quality-wise are trash as well. So I would be really thinking that it might be a good idea to actually use something a bit more. Well, that would be helping your economy overall, but apparently not gonna happen, as we are looking at the economy still growing on the mainland. Apparently second stable for Sito, who is already going for bloodlines and scalebarding armor, but same could be said about LB10, going in for forging. The bloodlines are going to be there as well, and probably interesting switch into some pikemen in there or other spearmen. So let's see if that's going to be enough. Apparently, Eddie not paying enough attention there. He was probably somewhere else, not exactly sure where. Because, here he is. Trying to kill a few villages, so definitely much more warranted than going after the lone scout on the left. And it seems to be working quite alright, killing at least one of them and forcing plenty of wood usage right now for green, which is not something that he wanted to do all that much. So another tower coming up next to gold, and sure, there is this gold still. So, not a red light yet for the Austrians, of course. But how's it looking with the gold? There is still a pretty good one for LB10. He does have potential access to another gold mine on the left side. But this control of this gold is actually not a bad idea, because it will force the right side of the Austria team to basically go for the same spot. As the towers are right now going to be attacked by maybe even the archers, but not much, as Lavihet needs to be a bit more careful about her positioning of there, and he's apparently going to be moving to the left, which I think is a good idea, because if he can be annoying to LB10 to slow him down a bit and maybe force him into a bit more defensive, that's of course everything that he right now needs to do. And oh well, hello, tower here. Yeah, right now you can need. Right now we should be knowing about it because Edis is scouting it. So this is basically next target for tower, most definitely. And green is hoping that he can actually get his own gold mine. He's not all that comfortable stealing gold for Lavihet. And that's also because of the reason that the economy, or rather the villages, are gonna get ineffective. They're gonna be bumping into each other and whatnot. So yeah, well, let's see. Let's see if the tower is gonna succeed from Pseudos, and if he's even going to be coming for that, as of course tower has died in the middle. And so Lavihet is coming forward with quite a bit of strength with LB10, but unfortunately for them, Sito went a bit overboard with all the scouts and is controlling the situation as much as he can. But so far, cannot be saying that he's having that much of a success. Because where is actually yellow? He has escaped to the bottom. Not afraid to use all the towers possible that he can be building. Not really all that much. And even though he has basically relinquished this stone in here, it's almost gone, so it's not like he's going to be mining significantly too much. So those scouts, yeah, well, they will need to escape. Oh, Sebdos, careful. He's right now probably looking somewhere else, like about here. As apparently LB10 is all across the map. The scouts attacking towers absolutely everywhere and killing even the villages at the bottom. So Sebdos losing about 3-4 villages. That's not great for him. That's not great at all, and I'm not entirely certain what he was actually watching at. Because he's not doing anything here. He's not building the tower next to gold. And he was maybe just looking at the economy, well, that was fairly unfortunate, because that's gonna cost him, but the castle ages coming in are definitely gonna be switching the momentum a bit. But it's the same for Eddie and Liere. So let's see who's gonna be better in there. So far, Liere not really having all that many knights. Of course, he's fighting next to the opponent's base, so that's always gonna be advantage for the defender, which is definitely showing here. But the archers are in pretty horrible numbers, and oh, careful, Avihat. Careful indeed. This is not a good time to be caught off guard. Definitely not, especially with this one lone spearman that is at least right now being singled out by Lavihead to at least alleviate the pressure on all those scouts. But still, this was unfortunate to the highest degree, and this could be basically a way back for the French, because so far they definitely didn't look all that well off, but this could be definitely changing in here. So this rush seems to be more or less over. Reinforcements already waiting for Lavihead as Elbit and Sebdos and Sito into Castle Age. And that means that only Lavihead is sticking to the Feudal. And let's see how far away she is actually. Well, quite significantly, to be honest. Not really getting there in the next minute. Which is gonna probably result into some kind of power spike right now for the French, who will have a bit of a window of opportunity. But with the TC finished right next to this goal, it's probably not going to be that huge, as the defense is in place. And potentially the only stuff that could be happening would be on the left. Raiding into LB10, because even though spearmen are good against horses, they're not so hot against knights, because the difference between Castle Age and Feudal Age is just a bit too strong. In the meantime, green horses trying to use basically the opportunity, since they cannot afford to raid all that much, to get rid of the pesky towers, secure the gold mine for themselves. As the villages are still present, going to be trying to kill as many units as possible, it seems like, for a bit of efficiency in there. But otherwise they are basically just 5 villages not doing anything. So Sebdos, 32 villages, but effectively like 27, which is pretty bad at this stage, to be honest. But he's at least advancing into Castle Age, which cannot be said about Lavihead, who is getting there. Right now at 700, so slowly, ever so slowly getting the needed resources. But still, the archers are more or less useless, and she needs to keep them safe for the crossbowman upgrade. Alright, so what's happening at the bottom? Right now they should be probably thinking a bit more about the gold. This is more or less safe-ish. They need to be moving with the TC to the left, where they are having next gold mines for their team. That's very nice thinking by both of them. As this gold mine is definitely gonna be running out, and well, she does have extra one on the right, so nothing really all that major, and I'm fairly certain she knows about it. Yes, she does, so she knows where to go next. Tower's getting rid of, and our town center is getting up, so it seems like the situation is slightly stabilizing right about now for the Austrian team, as LB10 is already even investing into light cavalry. Interesting. But he's having plenty of them, so I kinda guess why not. And those camels, yeah, well, that's a good idea. Of course, from the Saracen. I'm kinda waiting if he's gonna wanting to drop a castle. As he's apparently having a bit of an issue with the wolves in there, as there is a bit of an investment, or rather infestation, that's the correct English word, of light cavalry as well from the opponent. So, well, those Saracens going for the light cavalry, oh man. I'm right now just gonna quickly check if they're not having it free. I just remember Turks having it for free. Yeah, they shouldn't be having it for free, of course, and they're not. So they are both investing into it. One player started. I'm kind of guessing that actually Sito, because he was having like 15-20 of them. And basically LB10 just follows suit, so that he could be somehow at least keeping his opponent at bay. In the meantime, we are looking at plenty of units coming into French. Liere, this is all Liere? Yeah, this is all Liere. With plenty of knights, and definitely not enough from Sito. So this is potentially gonna be quite interesting raiding, but considering the amount of the spearmen and the towers and the TCs, this is not gonna do anything significant. He will have to retreat from this position pretty soon. Maybe he's gonna kill one villager or two at the bottom, but that's about it. That's about it. The knights will have to find something else to kill. Like, for example, this. That's something that didn't really happen in the first game for CZs and RFR either. Nobody really raided on the mainlands. I don't understand why, because it's freely open, of course. And of course it's also unguarded. You are having just the TCs, and you can be significantly disrupting all the farms, which is just economy that's gonna be present in there. But in the meantime, they are going into the full enemy base, and of course, completely failing in there, unfortunately, right now for the Austrians. So French seems to have defended right about now, with pikemen coming up for Eddie. as he thinks he's gonna be needing them, but plenty of light cavalry and other cavalry guys like the camels all across the map, which seems to be working for them, as they are also on the right, as towers were attempted to push forward still, but yeah, not anymore. This is just gonna be the starting towers getting rid of, and Sebdos, it seems like that he probably already lost the villagers, because I don't see them anywhere, and I don't really think he would have been able to get back with them all that much. In the meantime, Lavihet was able to secure all of those crossbowmen. Well, right now that's pretty bad army to face for the French. Especially the combination of the horses. And oh, this is bad from Eddie. Yeah, that didn't work out for him. Basically lost like half of the pikemen before they even engaged the horses. Which is absolutely horrible, because right now Lavihet does have advantage of the hill. And this is gonna be bad news for French, because they're gonna lose pretty horribly this battle. You can see pretty much the horses still surviving. And even though Liere might be losing everything in there as well, those crossbowmen, they are just gonna be uncontested. Absolutely uncontested. Liere winning together with her teammate, or rather with his teammate. And this TC, that's gonna be pretty important to secure the next gold mine and some kind of semblance of a map control, but this was an important battle. Very important battle, of course, and it's going to be interesting to see if actually French will be able to recuperate from that. To be honest, I don't expect that to hold that much, because this is an advantage that usually leads to pretty big surplus of economy, and it usually leads to faster advances into Imperial Ages, of course. So yeah, you're gonna see how it's gonna play out for Lavihet. You can see already 400 of both, so she should be having a bit easier time playing from now on, because she didn't lose anything at all. And siege workshops for the Saracens will be supplying some extra units into attack. Well then, this is going to be a push right now from the left into Eddie's economy. And there is already a bit more happening, a bit more to the south, as apparently plenty of kill guys have gotten into the enemy economy. There are some idols at the bottom from green, which he probably has completely forgotten about, it seems like. Yeah, the spearmen are coming back in numbers, and there is going to be apparently some conversion going on through the monks, which is a definitely good idea to prevent overpowering number of knights, but still, those crossbowmen, they could be dealing with them quite fairly and quite easily. Something on the right, not much, just basically finally trying to get rid of all of the economical and tower buildings, with another flank and squad of crossbowmen coming forward into attack. Which, yeah, well, we'll be making this just a whole lot worse for the opponents to deal with. So far I've not really seen any siege workshops from French. Ah, well, finally, from the yellow. So it's going to be the one to actually supply them. To supply them for some extra good shot into that crossbowmen. And where are actually the crossbowmen? Are here. Back home for some reason. I don't exactly understand why. Was some kind of raid in there? Oh yeah. A bit of raid-in, but nothing really all that major, so I don't exactly think that Lavihet needed to retreat. I kind of think that she should have just basically stayed with her ally on the left to also basically kind of a psychological effect, because if you are seeing such a huge army descending upon you, you are just going to be all that more tilted to make some kind of mistakes, or maybe even just go for the GG right there, even though it might not be the game over yet. So, army getting ready. Still basically no solution for the crossbowmen, because just those horses from Eddie are not gonna do it. How's it looking for Sebdos? Here. Well, so far not even any kind of mangonel coming out. That's fairly disappointing. Something we will be expecting right now. And definitely will be needed, because if he cannot get some good shots into crossbowmen to kill at least half of them, then this is just gonna be a bit too much. A siege workshop is there, it is scouted, so Lavihet should be paying enough attention right now, but still nothing coming up. And those four archer ranges, an Imperial Age for Sebdos, who is Byzantine, so that's gonna be... I would have been maybe expecting hand cannoneers. He's right now going apparently for crossbowmen, so maybe arbalests, if Byzantines have them, right? Do they have them? They do, but they do have the hand cannoneers as well. I'll be maybe slightly more liking the hand cannoneers, but apparently he doesn't want that, as castle is going to be attempted to be dropped by Eliare, and he seems to be moving even more forward, as of course, those Huscarls are going to be huge and problematic. Petandre, this map is actually called... Yeah, goddammit, that's the wrong one. Seize the Hump, and it's basically a variation on migration. It's kind of team migration without the water. Basically like that, and you don't have any resources on your main homeland. So you need to move into the middle quite soon, which results into those pitch battles quite soon into the game, and we are advancing into Imperial Ages quite later. So Goth spam apparently going to be coming alive with all the Huskarls and whatnot. Also pretty nicely upgraded already, +2/+2 on both. It's not bad, not bad. And considering the castle is gonna get finished, it's gonna result into what? He is in Imperial Age, so it's gonna result into trebuchets actually. And well, looking how the gold is next to the TC, which is under pretty heavy attack, we don't still see any Mangonas, unfortunately. They're just a unit that's absolutely sorely missing in here. He's having the Arbalest in here, but yeah, well, GG is going to be called, and this is gonna be won by the Austrians. Because they just chose the better strategy. Unfortunately, the Trash by Sebdos wasn't the one that would win them the game, and that resulted into the victory for the Austrians. And if I saw the previous games correctly, it should be also it for the match. But since I have streamed the one game, I'm kind of thinking I'm going to be streaming the rest of them as well, right now, for those of you who actually missed them. So don't go anywhere if you're interested in the rest. I'm going to be checking right now into the post game, but then I'm going to be continuing with the remaining games. If I can get the recorded games, which I should be able to from the ladder. So yeah, this is going to be Liere as the top score. But overall, it was just about better strategy from the Austrians. French unfortunately didn't choose the correct one. The Trash just plain simply didn't work. Well, Liere, pretty nice echo in there. Pretty nice echo indeed. 115 at the end. And he wasn't really that far behind, 101. But just the edge was quite clear. So, GG.